Say it ain't so. Now, David Goggins? David Goggins? A deadbeat dad? This dude has to defend himself. He's one of the most toughest men around. Stay hard. But yet now his daughter is coming out saying he's a deadbeat dad? Y'all know the Iron Father got to talk about this one. Let's get right on into it. Welcome, everybody. It is Dev of the Iron Father, where we are all about helping men recalibrate, restore, and thrive, whether they're going through a divorce or whether they're post-divorce life. And today is one that I got to talk to you all about. I have to do a show on this one, David Goggins. Now, full disclosure, not like I'm related to the guy or nothing, but I am a huge David Goggins fan. Goggins is one over the years. I just got a lot of motivation from him. And as a former chubby fat kid myself growing up, to hear about his plight, and for those of you who may not know who David Goggins is, David Goggins was an overweight guy. And as a black dude, he was told that, okay, you can't be a Navy SEAL. There have only been so many Navy SEALs that have been black. And not only that, you're overweight. And this man just became a stinking physical specimen machine. And when you look at his physique, especially for us gym rats, you look at him and be like, dude ain't that big. Until, he says things like he ran 100 miles and then the next day did a marathon. I mean, this guy has just pushed his body to the brink. But in this video, we're going to break down, what oftentimes pushes men to the real brink? It is the relationship with the mother and their children. Because remember, men, as I always say, children will view you through the eyes and lens of the mother that you chose to go ahead and be, would you say, your baby's mother, your baby mama. Again, in other words, children will view you through the eyes of their mother. And so I think this is a perfect example of that. But don't let me tell the story. Let's let David Goggins tell it. And I'm going to go ahead and add my commentary as we go throughout the video.
I don't talk a lot about it because guess what? She didn't ask to be where I am. So I ain't talk a lot about it. She came out on, she's done a couple things, one on Facebook a few years ago. She did something on Reddit, and she just did something here about a week ago on TikTok. Y'all can get your phone, her name is Jade M. Goggins.
First of all, I have to point out, man, he's going right in. He kind of kept his business to himself. Although he's a celebrity, he's saying, look, I didn't want to go ahead and talk about this, and I don't talk about it. Of course, there'll be a lot of people who will say, well, of course, you don't want to talk about it because you're ashamed. Well, maybe my man just didn't want to talk about it because, as he said, I'm the celebrity. That's not a life that my daughter chose. That's a life that I have. But, now, if you know anything about David Goggins, I've been there in my own personal life. Sometimes you have to just go ahead and just go scorched earth. Meaning that if everybody knows about you, now what dirt does anybody have on you? And if you know David Goggins' kind of mentality and how he rolls, and he's going to touch on that in a bit, this is exactly what he's about to do now. I read a couple of comments that said, oh, well, now he's sounding like a bitter father. And, well, I don't want to jump ahead. Let's just continue with the video. But I'm going to ask for your opinion on that pretty soon.
You may not have any context about it, but go to Jade M. Goggins and look it up. Basically, what she does is she calls me an absent father. She's never seen me before, doesn't know who I am, type of shit. That's how it makes it look. Which is a fucking lie. She did something in 2018 on Facebook saying I was a deadbeat dad.
I got to throw in here, obviously, look, if you have kids around, David Goggins cusses a lot. So let me just let you know that off the rip. That's something that he's known for. But, another thing, and we've seen this with Dr. Umar Johnson, not going into whether I'm going to defend him or not or anything, but we see the same thing happen with Umar, where it was his kids, his daughters, that went and took to social media to put the family biz out in the street. I guess we can all say when you're a celebrity, I mean, heck, even me, I'm not a celebrity, but I'm on YouTube. You put your life out there, then you can go ahead and folks can take shots. Or sometimes if they feel like I know one way to get at them, let me go ahead and put this out there about their public persona. But I'm glad that Goggins is willing to show receipts because there are a lot of men that will be more than willing to say, hey, I'm just going to back off and just let this go. But this becomes part of your real public record. And again, sometimes you just have to go and just put everything out there. Because in my lifetime that I've lived, as I always say, I got one foot in the grave and another one in the banana peel or on a banana peel. I have watched a lot of men still hope and pray that the truth about the efforts that they made to be in their kid's life will somehow magically come out. And oftentimes it doesn't. Because many times, the only times the kids may really care about what you did or what they think you didn't do is upon your death. And that may be when mom decides to go ahead and now talk about the truth. Or maybe they end up finding it out from another family member. Maybe they go to talk to Uncle Fester. Maybe they end up talking to Auntie May. Maybe they end up talking to Cousin Joe that says, you know, your dad actually was a pretty good dude, but your mama used to do such and such and such and such. Or maybe the son finds that box of letters that mom never gave him. And he's like, well, I thought you said dad never reached out to contact us. And in some cases, maybe he finds out that that's not even the man that he thought was his father. But let's keep going with David Goggins.
She did something on Reddit with more deadbeat dad shit. Okay. I don't know how I'm going to explain this to you if you guys even want to hear it, but you asked me a question. So I'm going to try my best to put it in as much context as I can. Me and her mom got divorced when she was about 1 year old. Her mom thought I was her soulmate. Her mom cannot stand me, period, doc. She pretty much made my daughter hate me. I was in her life until she was about 15. And I will try to explain what happened. And I don't like talking without proof.
Whoa, there we go. Children will see their father through the eyes of their mother. Isn't it a trip that here it is, he had a relationship, was married with this woman, and it ended. Okay, they go their separate ways, but yet now he's still in his daughter's life, but obviously she's feeling some kind of way about what's going on. And look, I don't know David Goggins. I don't know him personally at all. I just know his work. And this is still a rather familiar story. Regardless of whatever's going on with him, was it necessary to go to social media to handle it? But number two, this is that thing. Just because it did not work out with the mom, what does that have to do with the relationship with his daughter? And I know we have a hard time getting past that. It's the 2025 that we're having this conversation. But in a day and age where we have 70% of women are the ones that are going to the courthouse filing for divorce. If they are choosing, if they have children, they are literally making a choice to be a single mom for whatever reason, then it is just still rather intriguing that now that man's relationship with his children is going to change because she feels a certain kind of way about the man that she chose to have those babies with. So many times we focus on the guy, and it's like, well, and I've seen this in some of my videos by really, I'm just going to say people that I'm going to be nice and say, I don't understand the logic. Because, first of all, if a guy does something, then no one asked the woman, well, then why did you choose him to father your children? But as we were talking about on one of my roundtable shows, like and subscribe so you can stay current with those. We got another roundtable coming up tomorrow, and where we talk about dating, stepchildren, getting back out there, dating after divorce, etc. You want to tune into that with Derek and Eddie. So like, subscribe, and feel free to share the video with somebody else who may be able to benefit. But back to regularly scheduled programming. People have gone in my comment section and they heard some real bad stories that one of the roundtable members told about his ex-wife. And you know what a few of the comments said? I'm like, is this a bot trolling? They were like, well, why would any man choose to have a baby with a woman like that? And the only thing I could think is that that person must have been like 18 or 20 years old, because only somebody who is ignorant and had no experience in life would make such a statement. Why would we choose to do a whole lot of things if we already knew it was going to be a negative outcome? As if you meet somebody for the first time And yes, this channel is all about teaching men how to vet, how to prepare, how not to get into that situation. But you know what? Sometimes you got to make those mistakes before you realize what you shouldn't do next time. So, again, Goggins is going to explain this, but it just goes to show his relationship with his daughter, his mentality that he had decades ago is now coming back to bite him in his butt on who he did choose to be the mother of his children. But at the same time, as a man or a woman matures, they may not always see it. And so we shouldn't be quick to blame them and say, well, you should have known. One of the most hypocritical things I think I've heard that people say it to me, even post divorce, is, well, that wouldn't happen to me because I chose better. If you met your sugar pie honey bunch in at 23, at 25, even at 30, and especially for those who got with somebody at 18, you didn't really make a wise choice. You just got lucky, and a broken clock is right at least twice a day.
So let me back up for a second. As far as the deadbeat dad thing goes, all that shit started, obviously, when people do that, they want to hurt you. There's been videos out there about me being a deadbeat dad. People who don't like me were very excited to see we got something on the superhero David Goggins. To see we got something on the superhero David Goggins. He's not a good father. I wish I could sit up here right now and tell you all, because this is what I like to do. I like to come up here right now and own it. I like to own the fucked up shit in my life. It makes it easier. I come up here, I tell you all as a fucking deadbeat dad, I didn't see my daughter, I'm a piece of shit. What are y'all gonna say then? Nothing. Fucking bullshit. Exactly.
And that's the one thing about David Goggins. He is the kind of guy that's going to come up there and he talks about really what a piece of what he was all throughout his life. When he made certain decisions, he made some mistakes. So I'm going to take the man at his word that if that was the case and if he was rolling like that, that he would probably be contrite and at least would come out and say it. And knowing him, he would probably say it and then talk about how it made me harder, stay hard. But again, when we look at it in its totality, I think there's more to it, especially when we watch how the man gets broken.
So, I can't say that to you all because it's bullshit. I've never one time attacked my daughter. I've never one time attacked my ex-wife. I've seen this stuff for years. People have made videos on me. That's my daughter. No matter how the fuck she doesn't like me, that is my fucking daughter. So, I do not attack her. I don't go after her. I just sit in the fucking middle of it and suck it the fuck up.
That's David Goggins. And I just had a conversation with a gentleman earlier. And men, it goes into the stability that we have to have in managing the emotions of the women in our lives. But I think that's when we're talking about a wife, a girlfriend, etc. But what about when it's your kids? If we as a man cannot handle the emotions of a woman, and I was there, I had Captain Weakness on here, weakitis, when it came to handling the emotion of a woman. That was the old me. And I can tell you, it will take you on a roller coaster because no woman is sitting back there fantasizing about being with a man that is like just as frantic about her emotions. Because see, we can try to be cool. We can still try to act like we holding everything down. But if that woman knows that all she has to do is come tell us that something's upsetting her, and well, what do you do, honey? What do you want me to do, honey? What do you? And just because a woman says that this is how she wants her man to act, don't believe it. Don't believe it. Especially again, I always talk to you religious guys because let's think about the logic. You're supposed to be the very leader in your home, but how in the world can you lead if you are actually being led by her emotions? And so that now leads over to your children. In much the same way, you can be led by your children's emotions. And at least the way he started out handling it, that's still my daughter. For many of you guys, and as a father of 5, I can tell you, you're going to be with your kids, and there are going to be times where you have more negative interactions with your kids than positive interactions with your kids. And if you are led by your emotions, you know how you're going to be? Just I don't care about them kids. I'm done. I don't care about them. Goodbye. Good riddance. And then, of course, you're going to be accused of being a deadbeat. And again, I think every man needs an opportunity to share and tell his story. But there's also a difference in making sure that you have your boundaries. You say, this is how I want to be respected and being treated. But I'm also going to be detached enough from your feelings, your hurt, your emotions, that I'm not going to just let you do X, Y, and Z. And I'm still going to love you even in the midst of you doing that. Some of you guys may have some sons that are going to jail on a regular basis. Some of you may have some sons that don't want to get out of your house because all they doing is chilling. And when they do go out here, they just end up causing more calamity, wrecking cars, doing whatever. You may have some daughters that your daughter, she's a freak. You know, when your daughter steps out that house. Because why? You a G, hopefully a little bit. And you know that even when you look at your little girl, you know how your little girl is moving, but you're scared of her emotions. And therefore, you're going on the emotional roller coaster with your daughter. And there are a whole lot of little girls that know all they got to do is look up and go, but daddy, but daddy. And your wife or girlfriend probably knows she can pull the same thing on you. So you see that, of course, that's still his daughter, but he's going to have a limit of even the amount of emotional control that she's going to have on him. And let's keep it, because I know again how folks might get. We're not talking about an 8-year-old. We're not talking about a 12-year-old. We're not talking about a 4-year-old. As he's going to point out, we're talking about a grown woman. And at that point, for any of us who have grown sons or grown daughters, there becomes a time where you need to treat them as an adult, because every so-called kid wants to be an adult. When they over there shacking up and you might have thought, I don't like your man laying on up over here. I don't like it's always some different dude that I know is doing such and such. I don't like the fact that you're doing such and such with your girlfriend and your girlfriend's doing this, that. Well, I'm grown. Daddy, I'm grown. Daddy, I'm grown. Well, then that's when we got to be like, then you know what? Save your own behind, because you grown. And I'm going to treat you now like a grown person. And yet there are still people that still can't treat even their 25, 30, 35-year-old kids like they are grown and they're responsible, independent adults that I'm sure they want to be if you were to try to go ahead and talk to them about how they live their lives.
That people dog the shit out of me, call me Deadbeat. You know what? Go out there and Google pictures of me and my daughter, and you're going to see. There's a case that just happened, okay? Oh my God. There's a court case that just happened.
And pay attention to this part, because here's where you're looking at Mr. Ice in his veins, Mr. Navy SEAL, Mr. Stay Hard. Look at how this man now, you can tell he's about to get that adrenaline dump. Guys, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's kind of that adrenaline dump, that fight or flight that happens. If you ever are in something and you just start to shake a little bit, you got to calm down. You want to control your breathing, but now you begin to shake. That could be in the midst of getting ready to be in a fight. Somebody's chasing you. Shots are popping off. Who knows? Isn't it interesting that Mr. Stay Hard, Mr. Cold Ice, that he can control himself. He actually does all these like ice baths and things like that. But look at how now he's about to begin to unravel because of what this situation is doing to him.
Happened. It's 6 years. So I got this, but man, I'm fucking shaking my ass off right now, dude.
He's up there shaking, and he admitted it. And you could tell the look on his face, my man is pretty pissed that I have to go into this. And my assumption is, because I know where the video started, it kind of got right into it. I think it came out from the audience because he was speaking at, kind of one of those motivational speaker Aspire conferences, and somebody asked about it. And again, mad respect to Goggins, because he is going ahead and tackling it head on.
Okay. All right, so I'm trying to find this. I took pictures of everything because there was a court case going on, and they were like, I'll explain the court case in 2 minutes or whatever. I'm trying to find this thing for you all. I can fucking find this shit. All right. I know you guys like, take your time. I want to hear more of this shit. All right. So I want you.
Because he's right. Everybody wants to know the gossip. Mr. David Goggins, Mr. Tough Guy, and now his daughter is coming out saying that he's a deadbeat. Everybody does want to know. And it's pretty sad if y'all haven't been there, and a lot of you guys have. And you may even be here with your marriage because everybody thinks you are one way because of what they may have heard from your wife or what they may have heard, etc. Isn't it a pretty sad thing when you got to carry around receipts just for your image because of what everybody thinks they know about you?
Read that right there. Just read that right there.
It says, thank you. He has never, all capital.
I'm sorry, y'all. What in the world this dude wearing? This will crack me up. People be. All right, quick side note. Quick side note. I was on a important business call one time, and it was a lot of CEOs on the call. I was on a panel to speak with them. So hey, you know me. I'm gonna try to go ahead, even though it's like this. It's remote. Got my suit on. Blah 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 blah. Got my pocket square going on. A whole nine, right? And all of a sudden it comes on, and I'm seeing people, not just the CEOs, but just some of the other presenters on there, kind of looking like this dude, minus the backwards hat. Wow. They almost remind me of the way some of these doggone youth pastors used to look when you go to one of those churches that they want to extend out the love of Jesus to everybody. And so they look like they're 14 years old. They look like old Mr. B. What was it, Grandmaster B on Married with Children with Bud, Grandmaster B Bud. And the yo Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch era is gone. I'm sorry. I saw this dude like, say what? But okay, let's continue. Let's continue.
All right. So I want you to read that right there. Just read that right there.
It says, thank you. He has never, all capitalized, missed a payment, so I figured something was wrong. Thank you.
Okay, so what he's talking about is a child support payment. I've never missed a child support payment, okay? Why is that important? They went out there calling me Deadbeat Dad, trying to make it look like not only did I not see her, I wasn't paying child support. So I had to take all these pictures because they were going out here. I never used them. People came to me wanting to know what's going on. We're seeing this, we're seeing that. I'm not going to talk about my daughter. I stood on that. Anyway, I was in a court case. They took me to court. They did, because my daughter and my ex-wife kind of morphed into one. When someone at a young age,
Y'all catch that? My daughter and my ex-wife kind of morphed into one. Children see the father through the eyes of the mother. That explains how we got here. That explains how we got here. So whatever, and this is a precautionary tale to every dude. This is why we do have to vet a lot better than we often do. Of she pretty, she got a big butt and a smile. She got some nice tits. That's what we're oftentimes enamored with. But we do have to be just as conscious as women, as even girls are. My daughters had already started writing down on a pad what they wanted in a future husband. If you could talk to my other sons, you know what they'd tell you? I had them do the exact same thing. Because I realized my girls, just being girls, were already beginning to prepare themselves for the kind of man that they probably wanted to take his last name, the kind of man that they wanted to have babies with in the future. They were already thinking about this, and we know a lot of that is commercial and thought about. But I wanted my sons to do the same thing as well. Not because they're going to be at the mercy of just their, of emotions, but because I wanted them to also start realizing, if this is what I want in my life, then this is what I have to go ahead and attract in my life. Because your kids are going to become one with that woman. Unfortunately, even if you do make the right choice in terms of a mother for your children, and things go sideways and she decides to dip, look, man, it's just a crapshoot. It's just a crapshoot like marriage, to be honest with you. Because overall, the fact that the relationship crumbled, the fact that maybe she's going to go out and have an affair on you, the fact that maybe, she's just going to decide to go on another way. And I know I'm speaking to the majority in this case. Again, that's 70%. The other 30%, they may end up filing for divorce. Maybe it's for the same reason. Who knows? But maybe she's even a great woman. But just because the relationship went south, she says things about you. She doesn't talk about you in a very nice way. Some things you can't control for, but they just happen. And do know that that's going to impact how your kids are going to view you. And lastly, I certainly have to say, if you got a son, that is when he is perfectly made to be a future son husband.
They did because my daughter and my ex-wife kind of morphed into one. When someone at a young age, my daughter did not like me. And it only comes from one person, the mother. That said, I'm gonna explain to y'all, you have to look it up yourself. I wanna show you some proof. So in 2016, they took me to court and they wanted to modify child support. That year, I made about $12,000. Got out of the military, did 21 years in the military. So you know, being in the military, you're gonna pay your fucking child support. They trying to make it look like I wasn't.
Hey, military guys, comment down below. Comment down below, military men. How does the military handle your child support obligations or any spousal support obligations? And what happens if you like been married, I think it's 10 years in the military, and y'all get a divorce? Military men, let me know below. I definitely want to hear from you.
I did. Every fucking time was you spent. Okay, let's move forward now. Lee, my ex-wife, thought that I was making millions and millions of dollars in 2016 because I was on podcasts. They thought being on a podcast, you made money. They saw me on TV, they thought I was broke as shit. And you can look it up. Lee Pritchard, David Goggins court case. Look it the fuck up.
Ooh, brothers. All right, I got to speak personally on this one. This one happened to me. I know when my son, my oldest son, and I had him at 19, and we went through this time period. I had him at 19. I didn't go to college until I was 26, let's say 26 years old, going to community college. Later on, I would end up graduating in 2003. Those are some rough years, really rough years. But I do remember, and I think it was probably because my son's mother did not go to college. There seemed to be a gap in the perception of how much money I had and me having a college degree. So I remember those conversations. Oh boy, they was heated. I mean, it was like ding, ding, ding. Came out, boom, phone call, blah, 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 blah. Things being said about, my mom said that you got rims for your Mustang and yet you can't pay such and such. And it was like, I drove, I think, 4 hours to pick up for my Mustang, guys. I picked up a set of weld wheels for my Mustang. And that was from my brother's friend. I think I paid like $75 for him. Matter of fact, and then I think I got some tires with him. And I think it was was it some skinnies? Anyway, so I'm like, it was $75, but they were chrome shiny wheels. And I'm sure in her mind, I probably paid $1,000, $2,000 for them. Who knows? But there were conversations that were thrown out there that I think the perception was that, well, now I have a college degree. And since I have a college degree, I must be making money. Then you add to that, I already had 2 other kids now with my then wife. We struggling. But I think what she saw is, oh, he got a college degree. He's now making some money. The problem was I was making less money going into 2004 than I had made earlier in my life working at a stinking grocery store. And not only that, but at least I didn't have as much debt then. But by 2003, I'm graduating college with nearly $100,000 in student loan debt that starts to need to be paid 6 months after you graduate. And now I have 2 other kids, student loans, and my first job post-college with my fancy sociology degree paid me $29,000. But yet the impression was, oh, well, you got some money. And when those things get taught or being said in whatever way it gets said in front of your child, that's when children start viewing, or that's a continuation of the lens that ends up affecting how the child views the father.
It's out there, I don't give a shit. They deleted all those comments on TikTok. They didn't want that to be out there. Long story short, my daughter is 24 years old now. Child support in Indiana ends at 19. My book came out December of 2018. So if I wanted to keep money from my daughter, I would have waited 8 more months.
Push it back.
Push it back. That's not me, bro. But they don't want to tell that story. Anyway, long story short, please.
That's a key point. And props to, I think, brother, forgive me, I think it's Shisha Zed. I think he has the Coffee Pod YouTube channel. Love his work. I watch his channel. I try not to take in what other people are saying so I can have my own fresh thoughts. But I did watch his. I recommend you check it down to, he actually went into the receipts, went and found the court case. Props to you, my man. Want to give you that because when you look at it, don't miss that point that Goggins is talking about. He made $12,000 coming out of the military. And then he goes on the tour with the podcast. People think you getting paid. First of all, you might just get your expenses paid for many of these platforms, but that's it. You might get your per diem. You might get a little bit of money to spend while you're eating in town. But after that, that's it. These platforms aren't paying a whole bunch of money to have guests. Most of them aren't, at least. But he's doing that to get exposure, to tell his story, to then write a book to make money. That's what he did. And it worked. But yet she thought he had money. And his point was, he could have easily told the publisher, don't release this book just yet because my daughter's going to be 19. I don't want to have to pay more money that I'm going to now get off this book. Bet. Let's hold this. Correct me if I'm wrong. Again, basketball fans, let me know. Was it Eric Spoelstra, who was the coach of the Miami Heat? Was it him who had a situation where he signed his contract after the divorce? I mean, again, some of this stuff, and I think a lot of ladies are worried about it because, to be honest, I've heard stories of a lot of ladies, and I know men hide money too, but, we got a lot of systems in place to find out where that man is hiding his money. And number two, women are very good at investigating. I always say, you can get a doggone methed out, no teeth having chick all day long, and she all of a sudden becomes a doggone Homeland Security CIA agent when she got to go through all of your stuff to find out what you're doing and where that money at and if you're cheating and everything else. You ask her to go out and get a job, and she's like, I don't, I'm gonna know how to do a bunch of stuff, but who's gonna give me a job? But when she's trying to catch you, she will sit up there and make J. Edgar Hoover take notes. So Goggins could have played that game, and he didn't. I wonder if she would have done the same thing had she been in that situation. I got a feeling she would have said, let's push this out because, as the old folks teach your wife, as your wife is probably teaching your daughter, you know what the women do? And they've always done. Shout out to my mom because she probably admit this as well. They go ahead and say, girl, you got to save a little bit of something because, your daddy might leave me, might not be here. So and then they sticking it down in their bra. That's that money that when I used to work at the grocery store, a woman get ready to pay, you knew that money was going to come out nasty. That wasn't sexy. It was going to be nasty when they dug into that bra on a hot summer day and gave it to you. That's probably why we got rid of cash.
Look it up, people. I went from 12,000 to 100 and some odd thousand to 500 and some odd $1,000 I made. They never wanted more money. They thought I was hiding money in offshore accounts and all kinds of shit. Never Finished or Can't Hurt Me comes out December 2018. I make a good bit of money. My daughter lives in Brazil, Indiana. The average income for a family of four is $30,000. Look it up. I never missed a child support payment. On top of that, I also paid the extra. The extras, dance class, this, that, the other thing.
Oh, key point for the men out there. Comment below if you have some stories. The extras. Wow. Gentlemen, how many of you have had that conversation about the extras? I warn every young man that starts down that journey of paying child support. He thinks, I'm going to say, I pay my child support, and that's going to be it. And ladies, I'm sure you can chime in as well. Because especially if you send your kid to a school, well, over the years, schools have been investing less money into the students, so they actually put that off over to the parents. Back in my day, the school paid for a lot of things. Now, if you want to play sports, it's pay to play. We didn't have to do that. It's almost like paying in a youth rec league in the city. You paying for most of that now. You may be buying a lot of equipment. We didn't really have that when I was in school, but now, yeah, you do. And when you start having to shell out money, especially if your child support is a considerable part of your check, that mom is going to expect you as well to shell out money for a lot of other functions and activities. Now, I think that this is where the mother and the father being on a good page, they have to come to a resolution. They must. And I don't know the easy way. I think every case is different. But I've lived it. I've watched it happen. I've even watched it happen on TV, YouTube, whatever, but even some of my friends as well. Those conversations that you already struggling to pay your bills after you pay your child support. Then that mom calls and she says, "Oh yeah, little Johnny wants to also go ahead and, run in track." And you're like, "Well, how much is that?" And she's like, "Well, that's 200." Then little Johnny also wants to go on a trip to, they're all taking a trip to Cabo San Lucas, whatever. And how much is that? Well, that's $800. And little Johnny wants, and you like, I'm barely making it. And then that conversation usually turns to, but you got that money to blah, 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 blah. And you got that money to blah, 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 blah. And you really have to wonder, like, I guess I just can't have a life. And then maybe it's a case where, why is somebody pocket watching you? Again, every case is different, because if the woman truly, truly knows that he has the money, then the question is, why doesn't he want to give it to his child? Because oftentimes the mom takes it as an offense that he's doing something to her. But if the man really cares about his kid, why wouldn't he want to spend the money? My main point is this. There were arguments I had with my son's mother that I never had with my then wife about what we spend. You know why? Because when it came to my other four, my wife at the time realized we don't have the money. So kids, we can't do it. And it wasn't an argument. But had even my wife at the time been out of the home, she would have been looking at me like my other son's mother was. Well, you could buy such and such, because they don't know what's going on. They don't know the finances in the house. They don't know the struggle. They don't see it in its totality. So mom's being a mom, she's only looking at the fact that I want my son or I want my daughter to do fill in the blank, and you won't give the money to do it. But they don't, if they were in that house with you in a lot of times, I don't think in all cases, but in many cases, if that woman, if y'all were still in the house together, she probably would be far less dogmatic about what she's going to say you can afford and you just don't want to spend it. So give more in addition to your child support. And I got to still keep it a buck. Just as there are some guys that may be stashing some money, working under the table, doing X, Y, and Z, there's a whole lot of mamas out there that are also caught up into buying trendy items. My son knew doggone well he might end up going to Goodwill, Salvation Army, or whatever to get some clothes. I was wearing Salvation Army clothes, so why shouldn't he? But that might not have been what his mother wanted. So, and I wasn't necessarily getting it because it was cheap. And, it was like, oh, we can't afford to go buy something at JCPenney's or whatever. It was like, boy, you're going to be out of these clothes and you're just going to rip them up outside playing football. So we're just going to buy you some cheap stuff. That's what I'm wearing. And then it was like, I'm not going to pay $100 for some shoes. And then it became an ideology difference in what should be spent. And with your wife, you may be able to easily say, hey, I'm not going to spend, we don't spend X, Y, and Z. What we do is we take that money to go on family vacations. My car payment or maybe the minivan payment is $800 or whatever a month. So we're not going to spend that on for him or her to go do X, Y, and Z. But your ex or your baby's mama doesn't know that. She only sees it as you don't want to pay money to help our child. So now you're in arguments about the child support. And then now you battling, or both of y'all battling about the conversations of how you can give more. And all I can say is every situation is different. But what I will say is for you guys that still sit up there and think you're just going to send your check in every month and be done, you out your stinking mind. You out your stinking mind. For those of you who may even just be living with your baby mama and you think that, all right, it's all going to work out cool in the gang. And no, y'all are going to have different ways, because if y'all ever live apart, you're going to go through the exact same thing. Expect it. David Goggins even went through it.
No one knows that. Long story short, Canada came out December 18. Child support ended for her. She was 19, ended August 2020. So that's about 18 months. 18 months. I made $500,000 in 2018. So the judgment, straight off the calculator, It was the most child support given in the history of child support.
Now this one I might have to fact check. He paid the most child support in the history of child support? Maybe he means that area. Because I'm just thinking there's got to be a lot of dudes. Well, maybe they older. I mean, because he was making good money, but he wasn't making like that Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs type of money. I mean, you know, so I would think there would be some cases where it'd be some athletes or whatever that paid a little bit more. But, you know, interesting that he said that. So I'm assuming maybe it's in his area. But that lets you know that it still hurt.
They don't want to tell you that. So for 18 months, because from 2018 to August of 2020, when Jade turned 19, that's when it stopped. All right, is that making sense?
Yeah.
And I'm saying the book, because that's where the majority of the money came from. In 18 months, she got $743,000.
That's a come up. As I always tell you fellas, it pays to be the goose that lays the golden egg.
Child support. In child support.
I feel your pain.
They don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, somebody in the audience said, I feel your pain. Dave, I didn't feel your pain. I had to pay that much, bro. Sorry, I didn't pay that much. So I relate to your pain. I had to pay that much, though. Woo, that hurt.
And I didn't want to talk about you missing the story. But guess what? Johnny, where you at?
Uh-oh.
You over there? Catch this microphone
Johnny.
for a second. Get up. Get up here. Because they want to know. So this is my best friend, Johnny. Now, when I gave him $743,000 and I paid for it, I ended up getting him $914,000 because I had to pay for their lawyer's bills. Right. So
He had to pay for the lawyer's bills. Oh, yeah, guys, I'll tell you, like, subscribe, share this video with another man who may be able to benefit from it. Because we talk about divorce, preparing for divorce, how divorce process goes. A lot of you players don't understand that you do know that, especially if you're the high-income spouse in the household, your soon-to-be ex-wife will go to court and say, I need him to also pay for my attorney bills. Nobody told her to go get a lawyer. She could go to a paralegal, or she could do LegalZoom or do some AI or whatever. That's all on her. But again, don't miss the game that even Goggins is throwing down thinking, it will never happen to me.
what the fuck did I tell you 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, he says, hey, you know what I'm thinking about going to do?
Hey, put that motherfucker to your mouth.
He said, hey, you know what I want to do? I want to give Jade, my daughter, a cool $250,000 more so she has a cool $1 million.
Okay? No. Keep on.
I'll go a step further. What's even more crazy to me
Put it in your mouth.
Hey, what's even more crazy is he was like, when the book came out, he basically said, because they were a part of my life and they were in the book, his 2 ex-wives, who has kids and remarried, he said, I want to retire them too. I was like, God damn.
I would have been the same way. You gonna retire your ex-wife? Look, if my ex-wife is she's shadow watching, what up, girl? What up, girl? If my ex-wife is watching this and I get a big payday, I ain't retiring her. That ain't gonna happen. Props to Mr. Goggins, all you ladies that probably want to dog him out and be like, oh, I know he did something wrong. That woman must feel some kind of way because he did something. He must have cheated. He must have blah, blah, blah. How you feel about that one? How you feel about that one? Because obviously the man is putting a little bit of money where his heart is. And the only thing I'm going to criticize David Goggins on that one, dude, if you roll like that, maybe is there a wonder why you had 2 ex-wives?
That's crazy. That's even more crazy.
Okay. Now, Mom, if you're willing, they're not going to believe a fucking word I say.
Talk about my moms. He about to bring moms up on the stage.
Do you mind just telling them 2 minutes so we can get this fucking thing over with? I'll never do this shit again. But yeah, you come up here and somebody help my mom get up here.
Wow. How much time we got on this one? All right, we still got a bit to go. Let's check this out. We bringing moms up on stage. How long mom's gonna talk?
I'll never do this shit again. So, you guys, think about this. I don't know any of you motherfuckers. This is my fucking worst nightmare in my fucking life. But guess what? I ain't running from it.
That's a lesson every one of us guys can learn. Y'all heard me on my other show say the same thing. You know what really, really, really would piss me off is when men, shout out to you religious guys again, a lot of the religious guys, or even it may be just some of your friends and family, so-called friends that is, that will run in and call themselves giving you some advice. They will listen to you lament about whatever your situation is, but when you really start asking them about their own situation, you realize it is hear no evil, see no evil, do no evil, because they won't share what they've done, or it's been covered by the blood, covered by the blood. And if Jesus don't remember it no more, they become like a woman at 35 years old. Yeah, I don't remember it no more either. It didn't happen. And that happens so often. He's saying, look, I'm putting it out there. I don't even know y'all, and I'm putting it out there. And sometimes you may have to go be the same way. But the very people that you may be sharing some of your struggles with, ask yourself, what do I know about their struggles? Are you getting advice from people that they don't share their struggles with you? Because when you guys are feeling down, and when you ladies as well, you are feeling down, you're feeling depressed, you're dealing with those process of grief, like a death of what you're going through. And it's grieving and weighing down on you that even when you meet people that you don't even know so well, you start telling them about, yeah, this is going on. Because maybe you're like me, maybe you're like a Goggins, that truly, when somebody says, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? You might actually tell them the truth, because you realize most people will not tell you the truth. And as they say, half of the people don't care and the other half don't want to know. So when you truly tell how you're doing, and you may share what you're going through and what your struggles are, people are like, well, brother, I'm just going to be praying for you. I'm going to pray that the Lord works this out for you. And then, well, this is what I would do. And, well, if that happened to me. And then it's like, well, okay, let's dig around in this a little bit further. What has happened to you? Did your wife or did your husband do X, Y, and Z? Well, no, but if it did, shut up then. Shut up. As my brother say, don't be coming in here being the good idea fairy then. Because you aren't willing to share, and I got to dig. And I guess maybe that's why I feel comfortable even being pretty transparent on this channel. Because if I tell you guys, hey, give me a call. Let me help you with some of this process. Let's sign up for coaching. I at least want you to know I've been through some stuff. You can check out my videos as proof of that. I can bring receipts. There's a whole lot of these other cats out here on YouTube, whatever. Let them do their thing. It's a whole lot of TikTok experts. And none of us are an expert. Because even the person that has the doctor, PhD behind their name aren't an expert. They got a whole lot of book knowledge. They can tell you about maybe Sigmund Freud's theory or Carl Jung's theory or whoever else's theory. But I want to talk to somebody that's been through some things. As C.T. Fletcher said, I don't want to be dealing with nobody that read about a fight. I want to take boxing lessons from someone that's been in a fight. And there's a whole lot of people that will be giving you advice. They've never been in a fight. They've never stood up and grabbed their balls and had a conversation with their wife. But yet they quick to tell you what you should be doing. And as I say, it's a whole lot of men out there that don't want to stand up to their wife. They sit up there and telling you to do what? Bend over the same way that they do. And look, again, I ain't judging. If that's the dynamic in your relationship, do your thing. But I think it's one thing to do it in the bedroom where that's how y'all play, than you actually being a man that is following the lead of your woman, because even she detests you. And the reason why she bends you over is not for your pleasure. It's entirely for hers and her disdain that she has for you. All right, we ain't got moms. They went and got moms. And let me point this out. I used to say all the time, and I know for those who be like, why don't you just play the video? Well, then why don't you go ahead and put some effort and go find the video yourself? Because I'm here to do social commentary. I'm commenting fair use on the video. That's what I'm doing. When you go on your channel, play the video the whole way through, knock yourself out. But anyway, um, I talked about this in some of the other videos. For you ones or twos ladies that may be watching, there comes a time in which a lot of women will say, I don't believe a lot with men. And, they think about what they've been through. He must have done something, da, 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 da. They will be collective and they will side with one another. But when it's their son, maybe if it's their brother, but especially if it's their son, now it hits differently because they know their little boy. And they know their little boy and the character that he has. I've learned even that sometimes in the case of a wife, she actually has a whole lot of sympathy for men in the courtroom, even if her ex-husband got the shakedown. Because she may be remarried to a guy and she's like, I see what his ex-wives did or do to him, or his ex-wife or whatever. I know the amount of child support that woman getting. And a lot of times your current wife will be turning you even more against your ex-wife because she's like, I know what she's doing. I know she's trying to do such and such and such. Why? Because it's now personal to her. This is Goggins' mom. And I think this is the ultimate receipt that he could bring. Because while men may have some sympathy for his story and say, I've been there, a lot of you ladies did not care, would not care. But now he has to bring up the ultimate validation, his mother.
You're not going to believe a damn word I say because why? It's like Lee's word against my word type shit. But they talk about me being a deadbeat dad and an absent dad. I took pictures of every fucking text message me and my daughter had during this court case because the text messages were horrible. I took every email. I did all this shit because they were literally, it was defamation of character. Y'all can go out there and look at it, man. Go out there and look at the fucking court case. Go out there and also look at the fact that this woman, my ex-wife, filed for divorce from her husband after she got all this fucking money.
Woo! In the words of Busta Rhymes, row, row, like a Dungeon Dragon. Wow. You know who I want to hear from? Hey, ex-husband of David Goggins' ex-wife, hit up the Iron Father show. I love to talk to you. Okay, at the very least, make your own video. Brother, how you feeling? Are you okay? Hey, man, go to joinironfather@gmail.com. Man, let me help you, bro. Let me help you. Go to the Calendly link down in the description. I can help you because, man, I want to hear from you. Because what does that say about her that she gets the payout from, we'll just say her baby daddy, David Goggins? She gets the payout and then she dips in her marriage? The game is cold, fellas. The game is cold.
Anyway, don't get me fucking started. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. I don't want tit for tat. I want facts. Mom, you got anything?
Well, she coming up like a church lady about to sing that gospel solo. Oh, well, she about to do her Aretha Franklin, Mahalia Jackson impression. All right, let's go. Let's hear from her.
Hey, if you don't want to say shit, don't. I'm just fucking pissed the fuck off right now. I'm shaking this shit.
Wow.
Okay. Is this okay? I'm not going to take up a lot of your time because I'm also pissed off. I don't even want to be up here, and that's the honest God truth. But I have to tell you, somebody told me about the video. I don't have TikTok, didn't have TikTok, didn't even know how to get TikTok, but I kept hearing about this video. So I asked somebody to help me get an account. I suppose that's what it is. And I had to respond because David's been called a lot of things, a lot of unkind things. Some of them are true. I even agree with some of them. But I could not and did not agree with the bullshit about deadbeat dad and absent dad.
Ooh, mama got a little potty mouth on her. No wonder that's where David gets it from.
I couldn't let it go. So I'm going to try to hold this together, and I just have to tell you, I did respond. I responded, and I put my little TikTok stuff out there. And I had to tell the truth about conversations that I had as a grandmother with my granddaughter about her dad. How she never called him Dad. She always referred to him as David. As a young girl, he was David to her. I called him Dad more than she did. Whenever I'd ask her to come visit me, she would say, only if David is not going to be there.
Now, I know a friend, he lets his kids call him by his first name. He always has. That may be something, again, like anything else in a family dynamic. What's the dynamic with the people there? So, or in the household. But I think what she is pointing out is that that wasn't the dynamic they chose to have. It wasn't like, hey, I want you to call me David. He wanted to be called Dad. But obviously, because at a very early age, the relationship was already being damaged. I know there are going to be some people to say, well, that's parental alienation syndrome. I don't know. I don't know the entire case. I don't know everything that's going on. I would just say that if the mom said, you don't have to call him Dad, you can call him David. My next question is, then who did the mom have her calling Dad? Because I probably guarantee you it was some man that she said, maybe it was the one she turned around and divorced. It was some man that she had that girl calling Dad, but not her real biological father that was paying the money. I'm gonna leave that there.
That hurt me. That hurt David. I would beg her. I would beg her to try to have a relationship with her dad, and she said no. Now, you all know, and it's no secret, that David's dad was a piece of shit. He's dead now. But he beat us. He beat David to the point where I couldn't send him to school on certain days. But I made him, after I left, I made him go see his dad.
Whoa, now that's deep. But I'm going to go to what I said earlier. Is anyone going to put down comments saying, well, that's who she chose to be David's father, so I guess it was good that he went and put his foot in their behinds? No one ever says that. And like I did also say, isn't it interesting? Again, I don't know that woman's story and their family dynamic. And Goggins has wrote about that in his book. But one thing is for sure, mom has probably a different perspective because of what she went through with his father. And now she's watching what her son is going through. And even though, she just called his father a POS, she still recognizes the role and the importance that a dad has in his kid's life. So whether he's with the mom or whether he's not with the mom, she's still saying, you need to have a relationship with her.
Because that's what mothers are supposed to do. As much as I wanted to hurt his dad, and I really did because he hurt us, I couldn't use my kids to do that. I could not weaponize my children to hurt their dad.
An amazing mom. You're an amazing mom.
And it wasn't until one incident when I was begging Jade to come spend the night with me and her dad. And she refused multiple times in front of him. Then he finally said, Mom, quit. Mom.
That's a man that broke down. That's a man who got broken. Because this is the thing, and if I had to give an overall title to this video, it would be that fathers have feelings as well. And I know as a man, we aren't supposed to. I know as a man, people think, well, I can just physically hit him and he'd be okay. And we oftentimes give that impression. But what's worse is that people say, I can actually emotionally wound that man and he will be okay. I was in a men's group one time and a man said that I think he read this in a book or a counselor told him this. I can't remember. But the woman stated, your wife and your daughter would rather see you die on that horse than fall off of it. I never forgot the power of that statement because that is your life as a man. Your wife and your kids would rather see you die on that horse, fighting for them, leading them, etc., than for you to fall off of it because you wounded and because you're hurt. David Goggins is looking like a man that's wounded and that's hurt. And when kids, let's just say when they don't talk to their father and they all gassed up with that nice little Energizer battery in the back from mom. So many times mom will say, I didn't tell them not to call their dad. I didn't tell them not to do such and such with their dad. But they hear the conversations that mama is having with her friends about their dad. They're hearing the conversations that mama is having with her mom or her parents about their dad. They hear the disdain. And as I always say again in my videos, what man can compete with the tears of a mother? Why is mommy sad? Well, because dad made me sad. And then that kid begins to associate dad is the man that makes my mommy feel sad. I don't like dad. So when dad says, can you come over? Please come over. And that kid is saying, nope, I don't want to come over. Nope, I don't want to come over. A lot of you listening, especially those of you who don't have kids, again, those of you who haven't been through nothing, those of you who are still thinking happy wife, happy life, we've been married 15 years and we're going to be together forevermore. You don't know what it's like to have that rejection. And every person gets rejected up to a point where they say, enough. No more invites. It's time to move on.
Stop. And I did. I had no idea how much I was hurting David by trying to convince his daughter to be in his life. Now, I know that I'm the mother, and anything I say, she's his mom, she's going to say whatever she wants him to say. But I got to tell you, because of this TikTok video and so much was out there about David that's not true, I didn't want people to think that what I was saying was not true. So I wanted to get proof. So I do have, would you help me do this? I hate this. I swear to God, I hate this. Is your phone ringing?
Whoa. Y'all know it's going to get real when mama putting on her reading glasses to read something. But what's sad is now even mom has to show receipts. Here David is saying, I got to bring receipts because everybody's going to think I'm a deadbeat dad because everybody wants the hero to fall, or everybody thinks I'm the typical man because of what my kid said and because that's the kid and they got to be right because mom said it, got to be right. And then mom is coming up saying, everybody's going to say, well, because I'm his mother, no one's going to believe. But does anyone realize the stress that you are under when nearly every day of your life you walk around feeling like I got to carry receipts? For those of you who've never been in this situation, how would it be if every single bill you paid, all of your subscriptions, your Netflix, your Amazon, your ESPN, whatever it is, if every single bill you had to keep, because not only that you had to keep the bill, but you also had to provide an explanation for why, you watched something or for why, you ended your subscription and you picked it back up, just goofy stuff. But imagine how much of an energy drain that is. Just because you don't want, it's kind of like dealing with the medical industry, to be honest with you. You go, they'd be like, oh yeah, this should be covered. And then all of a sudden, 6 months later, you get a bill. Isn't that exhausting? How does it feel when you get that procedure that they told you was covered and you get a bill for $600 or whatever in the mail? Or now they're trying to put it on your credit report. How mentally exhausting is it when you go there, you realize they do this to me all the time. So now when you do go to them, there's this emotional, mental, really distress, labor you have to go through just because you don't trust them. Isn't that a sad way to have to live with your kids?
See, he asked the fucking question, boy.
All right, so I thought maybe if we had words, Jade's words, David's words, so you don't have to believe me. And here's the exchange between the absentee dad, David.
You don't have to read it.
No, I'm going to read it. No, I'm going to read it. Sorry you feel the way you do about me. You don't even thank me for the things I've done. I sent you $1,000 for your 16th birthday and don't even get a thank you. I have never gotten a thank you for anything I've done for you. Not to mention you have never wished me happy birthday, Father's Day, or anything else. I'm not going to do this back and forth with you. One day you will see I am a good man. If you don't, I understand. I never liked my father either because he beat me. Now I just want to read the response.
Let me just stop it there, because when he said, you know, I don't get a happy birthday, I don't get a thank you. Again, a lot of people will be like, well, so what? You're the father. You shouldn't have to. Why shouldn't he? I mean, again, isn't this proper etiquette? I bet we say, hey, grandmama sent you $25 for your birthday. Call her and tell her thank you. Why? Because we want to teach our kids to have proper respect for the gifts that they were given and to respect their grandparents. I bet you probably tell them to send that thank you letter when the school does something great for them. You're going to tell them to send that proper letter when they go for a job interview, and then you tell them, make sure you send a thank you letter, because most people don't. But for whatever reason, mom is now having the kid look through her glasses and eyes at her father. Did that girl not learn that I need to go ahead and at least say thank you? But I'm not grateful. And at least David, again, we don't even know the whole situation, but obviously if the father was physically putting his hands on him and the mom, it's good she got out of that situation. I mean, I could, again, go the religious route, because everybody says that really, biblically, the only reason for divorce is if somebody had an affair. I guess that means that if you're getting the brakes beat off of you, Jesus would have been like, hey, I still hate divorce. You better knuckle up and go take some doggone some Muay Thai classes, some boxing classes. Hey, just because you're 140 pounds, you can still scrap that dude. Man, right, go put you and your son in there. That way you ain't gotta leave, because I hate divorce. You just better knuckle up, get tough, stay hard. Sorry, had a moment there. But that still hurt him. The fact that you give of yourself, you still want some gratitude, especially when your kids get older. Why? Because when they're 5, you understand they may not say thank you. I think you should for proper manners, but you may not. When they get 10, same position. But when they get 15, and you now know this kid thinks independently a whole lot more. And when they get 20, and then you don't hear from them on Father's Day, but you make sure you call them on their birthday. You make sure that you are saying, hey, happy birthday, or happy whatever, or Merry Christmas, whatever y'all do. Again, nobody sees the father as a man. Nobody sees that he needs somebody to care about him. And when we look at the number or the rates of men who, let's just say, go ahead and decide that they want to take their life on into the afterlife on their own, you wonder why. Because of that hurt and the fact that I gave this to these kids, even if I didn't have a relationship with their mom, and I couldn't even get a thank you. And what really I think hurts the most is when it's Mother's Day, when it's Mama's birthday, kids are travel. Kids do everything. And it's not necessarily because they just so-called love mom more. They know mom is going to put them on a guilt trip. You didn't even come see your mother on Mother's Day. You didn't even come see your mom on her birthday. I didn't even hear from you. Y'all don't call and check on your mom. And as one guy told me, his mother worked at, I think he said it, my mom worked for this travel agency called Guilt Trip. She really know how to book those trips. And I always say, I got to use that one. That's actually good because many moms know how to do that. But with dads, we just say, hey, it's all right. It's just my kids. But you know what? Goggins goes ahead and show, man, we don't get over that easily. And we really don't forget. We just continue and move on.
From Jade. I will never, ever, I will never, ever see that you are a good man. Because there will never be a day you ever see me again. You will never see me again, ever. And then you know how she ended it? Have a great life, David. Have a great life, David. So I just wanted you to know the truth. Yeah, he's a tough man, but this hurt the shit out of him and me.
Mama kind of dropped the mic on that one. He's a tough man, but it hurt the S out of him. Mama knows her son.
All right, so here you go. So when you go to TikTok and you see the video, you see a picture of me and my daughter. And then what you see is my absent father. So what I didn't tell you all, the reason why I've been absent from her life for the last several years is because of what you just heard.
This is the Real Housewives of New
When I
York.
went up, I couldn't stand my mom for making me see my dad. So when my daughter just kept saying, I don't want to see anymore, I don't want to see anymore, I don't want to see anymore, roger that. That's how that went.
And well, you guys, we're going to go ahead and we're going to end it on that, roger that. Because quite honestly, there are a lot of men out here that may be listening to this video. You've said, roger that. You don't want to see me anymore? Roger that. You don't have to anymore. I'm done. I've learned over the years, even though I'm a man that I know, again, brothers, I can tell you, I know what it's like to go to court. I know what it's like to go down there and have to go through the metal detectors. I know what it's like to have a referee look at you and say, what have you done for me? What have you done lately, though? And you're like, I've done this for my kid. I've done this for my kid. But what have you done lately? I know what it's like to go into the courtroom. And basically, the mom has representation, even though she didn't pay for a lawyer. You didn't either. Sometimes you did. But the state in and of itself represents her. I didn't realize how much of a faulty system it was until I got a little older and the internet came about. Because again, when my son was born, it was a decade before the internet really became common in someone's home. Yeah, I'm that old. So I'm the Iron Father because I've been through some things back in the old days. You know what I'm saying? Back when we used to be like the Flintstones, we had stone wheels, square wheels and everything. But when you go through that, sometimes you just end up saying roger that at the very end. You don't want to be in my life? Bet. I've done everything I can to be in yours. Now the choice is yours. Because again, as my grandfather used to say, keep on living. And as you know, one of the other elders in my life, she used to say, well, just because you say it doesn't make it so. And just because, oh, I think you're a deadbeat because mama told me and you didn't do. Just because she said it doesn't make it so. And here are the receipts that I have to shamefully pull out in front of, really, we'll say millions of people if this, continues to spread over the internet. It gets attached to his name. I'm sure when he first got with that woman, he didn't think it was going to end like this. Decades later, because I think the daughter is now in her 20s, if I remember correctly from what I heard. That one I may have to check. But sometimes people want to know, why do men walk away and they leave and don't come back? I know of personal cases where there were guys that said, I'm tired of fighting. Roger that. You don't want me in your life? Roger that. Because I know, keep on living. The day is going to come when you are going to be in that situation. And it's harder because it's actually a daughter. But I guarantee for your sons, let your sons, men, keep on living. Because in all likelihood, we got three scenarios and the odds aren't on their side. We have scenario number one. They end up getting a chick pregnant. And when she gets pregnant and they think we're going to live happily ever after, and then they don't. And now he begins to see you in a whole different way. And now he's going through with the mother of his children or child. And now she's doing the same thing that he criticized you about. Love that song by Fonte and Little Brother when he talks about looking in the back seat and how he couldn't stand his father growing up. And he says now he looks back and see that empty car seat. And I say, I'm doing the same thing. Same thing. Because now he's living the way his father lived. I think it's called, the song is It's All For You. I can't play it, get a copyright, but I think it's All For You. And in that whole, that is amazing. Check out that Little Brother song because that whole song is just about them realizing my dad wasn't as jacked up as I thought he was. And I had this a lot of this animosity about my dad. And yeah, he might not have been the greatest guy, but man, now look at how it impacted my life. And now I'm kind of going through some mess. And that's how it's going to be for your sons. But I'm sorry to tell you, for your daughters, they might not get it. Because your daughter won't live the life of a man. There are only very few ways your daughter would get it. And unfortunately, in David Goggins' case, his daughter will probably never get it. What she will get is that money that he gave her, even if, he gave her a mill, that money ain't going to be as long as she probably thinks it's going to be. She's going to go through that cash. She's going to go through that money like water. I can probably guarantee that. That leads us back. Let me go back to my scenarios. I don't want to leave that. Scenario number one, your son goes through it. He understands. Scenario number two, your son gets married. He doesn't think it's ever going to happen to him because he got married and had his kids. And then he goes through it when he has to go through divorce court. Now he has to go through child support. Now his wife is saying, I don't want you to see the kids, or he's used to being with the kids all the time. He's like, I don't think you should see the kids, but every 2 weeks. I want to see them more. Well, I don't think you should. I have a whole show about that. Maybe I'll link up to it at the end of this video. Look that one up. Look up the round table that I did with Eddie and Derek, where we're talking about being a man that is divorced, and now he also has kids and have to navigate that. The third scenario, this is what everybody banks everything on. The third scenario is that he dies like doggone Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and Joseph, where he gets a chance to get his eyes closed and he looks at his kids on his deathbed and they say he gets a chance to add a blessing to every one of his kids. And then he goes on into going up yonder. And then he's gone. And the kids say, wow, dad was the greatest thing ever. We never could have. Every man gets motivated by that dream. But man, I'm going to be honest with you. When you deal with the reality that in all likelihood you're going to die in a nursing home with people who don't even know you and they're stealing your stuff, they're stealing your socks, they're stealing your underwear, they're eating your food, and you pissing on yourself, that's the reality of it. And people are going to be a lot less, we'll say there's not as much guilt not taking care of dad as kids have for not taking care of mom. Even in the last days that you live, the expectation is still going to be, daddy'll be all right. David Goggins is one of the hardest dudes around when it comes to mentality. The things that he can put his body through, which actually starts from being able to discipline and push through your mind. He's in that upper echelon of people that can do that. But you saw a man that got broken because of one child. One child. I hate to say this, but unfortunately, it's as I've noted in divorce. You want to know who pays the less in divorce? It's the janky dude. It's the dude that never went and really worked steadily. It's the dude that was like, I don't care, girl, you go out here and make that money. It's the Rollo type of character. Shout out to Rollo and Sanford and Son. It's that guy. You want to know the dude that pays the most? It's the James Evans guy, the dude that worked 2 and 3 jobs while his wife stayed at home. It's the guy that made sure he fought for his family, the Furious Styles guy. He pays the most because he wants to be in his kid's life and wants to raise his family. Rollos don't pay that much. Not at all. Rollos don't have a problem beating the system. A lot of you ladies that may be listening to me, y'all got kids by Rollos. You know it. You know it. Try to chase that man down to get him to do something. And unfortunately, man, knowing this, you got to know this is the cost when you go in to play. Because it hurts when it doesn't work out well. While David Goggins may be Mr. Stay Hard, it sounds like he needs to still, and I hope he's probably improved his picking skills with the women. And I imagine he has, because the type of woman you pick when you broke is not the type of woman you probably pick when now you got some wealth and you've now seen the worst in people come out. And I got a feeling, I believe that David Goggins probably chooses a whole lot better. But just because a man has money, he's a so-called high-value man, we see this enough with athletes, doesn't mean a thing. A lot of these dudes got the doggone symphitis as well, and they need some doggone manbiotic to knock that out. I don't care how much money, hundreds of millions of dollars they make. And again, the divorce trail for celebrities and athletes bear that out with all these guys that go bankrupt after they get done playing. Yeah, we got one right now. What's my man name out there that everybody says this girl just got a baby? Shout out to Tom Brady. You know, he married the hottest chick in the game, Miss Giselle. And what happens when he retired? But anyway, I digress. Main point is, and again, like and subscribe to the video, share it to a man that may be able to benefit. Goggins got laid out there. How does that impact you? Let me know down below in the comment section. Is this a familiar story? If you got the success and fame that David Goggins had, do you worry? Are you looking over your shoulder because you wonder all of a sudden, is your kid's mom going to come out and start telling stories about you? Are your kids going to come out and start telling stories about you that may or may not be true, or maybe they're going to be embellished to tarnish the image that you now have? Let me know in the comments below. Again, military guys, let me know, because David Goggins, former Navy SEAL, you heard him say he's been retired. He spent 21 years in the military. Let me know what you think about this video. So thank you all for joining me. This was a long one. I normally don't do a whole lot of responsive videos. I'm going to start doing a few more with just the things going out there. But again, as a follower and you know, a follower in the sense that I've always enjoyed, David Goggins is one of the guys that I play in my headphones when I'm at the gym. He gets me going. But I have to be honest with you. David Goggins was also a dude that I listened to when I was going through my divorce. Because many, many days it was hard. Many, many days it was difficult. And so when I first got up in the bed and I'll put something in my ears, I put some motivational stuff by David Goggins in my ears about being resilient, about being able to make it, about being alone, about the fact that nobody's going to have mercy on you. You got to go ahead and push through. You can't go ahead and stay in the bed and not get up and wallow in your misery and just feel like, oh, somebody else is responsible for your happiness. You got to stay hard and you got to go get it. And that's why I had to do this video. Maybe in some way I want to help his image, because that man has actually helped my life when I was really at one of my darkest times, because I need to learn how to stay hard, because, you know, I came up with a background that didn't teach me how to do that properly. So bottom line, as my sign says up above me, let me tilt my camera up. We got to move with strategy and not emotion. But sometimes it's hard not to get emotional because things hurt. And being a dad, there's oftentimes a lot of hurt and a lot of heartache that comes in this game. All right, y'all, that's it. I'm closing this one out. Definitely check out the roundtable that I do with Derek and Eddie. I hope you can get some things for that. Also, if you are interested in some personal training, coaching, definitely let me know. Men and women, same thing, you know, because the fitness game is for everybody. Hey, the better shape women get in, the better shape the men, they like them a little bit more too. And vice versa. I want everybody to be happy. I'm like Kevin Samuels. I want to get couples together that they want both of their bodies to be in shape. Although, as this video shows, you want somebody that's in good mental shape as well. But get at me if you're interested in some coaching for fitness. But then there's another tier. And that's for the men that want to get their bodies together and also get their minds together. Contact me as well, because they all go together. And we can discuss not only your fitness, where I can help you put your macros together. I can help you put a workout routine together, because you're in the most stressful time of your life when you're probably saying, I don't even have time to get to the gym and I don't know what to do. Let me take that burden off of you. I don't know what I should be eating. I'm struggling. I've never had to cook for myself, or I was always used to her cooking. I'm there. I'm there, right there with you. Let me help you. In addition to your fitness game, in addition to your macros game, we'll also do some one-on-one calls talking about how we can just help you keep your mind right while you go through this tough time. Because I, the Iron Father, I've been there, and I know you got a lot of emotions going on. Let me help you walk through that. Email me, joinironfather@gmail.com. Go and check out the calendar link down in the description below. If you're interested to do just a free 30-minute consultation, we'll go ahead and see if we're a good fit for one another, if there's any way that I can help you. And because I want you men, I want you to be Iron Fathers, to be the best men that you can be, because this game is hard. So I'll close it out. I'm not going to close out David Goggins style and tell you to stay hard. But what I am going to tell you is to be that Iron Father, because a lot of the challenges you're having with your ex-wife and with your kids, they're going to forge you into being a much stronger man in the future. And I know, because I've been there. And let me help you do it as well. Peace, y'all.